Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to today's edition of Midday Manna. Hi, my name is Lenore Reynolds Jones. I am the author of one of these days I'm going to learn it. This book right here, the one over my shoulder. It's called Knowing God as El Shaddai. I am the founder and president of this company, Legacy Builders. You can find us there on the web at www.legacybuilders.com. I am a life purpose and clarity consultant, and it would be my pleasure to help you develop skills, share tools with you that will help you build a lasting legacy. Today, this is my show, Midday Manna, where I come before you, and it's under the premise that manna is provision for a season. And I absolutely believe that every day, every season, we can go to God and get new manna. Because if you study manna, you realize that manna only fell and it was only good for 24 hours or 48 hours in the case of Sabbaths. And so that is why I come before you periodically, bringing you something new, something fresh, because God does the new thing over and over and over again. And it is just my privilege to partner with Him to do new things over and over and over again. One of the new things that my company is doing is we are launching a class. The class is called Legacy Building in Marriage. The premise behind the class is that there are several premises, and over the coming weeks, I am going through reasons why you would need a class such as legacy building in marriage. Today's reason that we are talking about legacy building in marriage is I think it's a showstopper. And so the reason for today, why I am going to posit to you that you need legacy building in marriage, is that in marriage, if there is no identity, then there is no intimacy. I'm going to say that again. If you don't know who you are, i.e., no identity, if your identity is not secure, no identity equals no intimacy. And I know y'all are gonna, argue me down in the comments, or maybe you'll agree with me. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down, and I want to know why. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about this idea that if there is no identity, there can be no intimacy. Or if there is intimacy, it's very shallow. So I'll start with telling you a story. I got married at 25. Okay. And at 25, I would say what I knew about myself was a combination of what I had been raised with and what I had accumulated that was not comfortable. Yeah, I think that's a great thing. So when I say accumulated, they tell you you're going to do this, or you're just like so-and-so, and you've accepted those things, but they never comfortable. They never quite fit. So at 25, I can't say that I know myself the way I do now at 40. And yes, if you're surprised by that statement, it is actually factual that your girl is 40 years old. I know, I look great. Thank you. But truthfully though, honestly, I can't even say that I knew myself at 35 the way I know myself now at 40. And I am excited to consider that I am still on this journey of knowing myself. And so I can't imagine what I will look like at 45, 50, 60, 70 even. However, I can also tell you that the deeper I get to know myself, the deeper I can allow my husband to see me, because we hear it all the time, into me see, right? Because that's intimacy. The deeper I can allow my husband to see me, but also I can seeing myself and my flaws and accepting those things puts me in a position of seeing my spouse and accepting those things as well. So I'll give you a really, really easy example. Um, Now, I've been on a journey to myself for a very long time. I think the closer I got to my 40th birthday, the deeper I got into the journey. But right around year 38, 39, when 40 was just on the cusp, I was like, gosh, like I really have a lot of work to do. Part of that work is why I launched my company, because God showed me like, these are your gifts, these are your skills, these are your talents, and they're wasted in this area. And the best way that you can use these things to glorify me is to actually walk in purpose. And so me walking in purpose looks like my company, Legacy Builders. So that's number one. And then now my husband and I, because I know myself that well now, and I know my gifts and he knows his gifts and stuff, we are launching a course together, because we realize that we have been purpose and partnered together to do this thing together. It's not just my company, and it was never just my company. It was always our company, but us getting to know ourselves upgraded what we were able to do together. And is that not the goal of intimacy? To see each other, to accept each other, and to move together in whatever? Because I think of intimacy as, if you can see into me, then you can also bond and bind with me. Think about like knee surgery, for example. You tore your ACL, let's say. I'm pretty sure that's in your knee. If it's not, absolutely forgive me. Anatomy and physiology was a long time ago. But let's say you tore your ACL. When the doctors are in there repairing the tear, they need to get as close and as clear a look as possible. So what do those doctors do? They take, MRIs, they're doing x-rays to see if the bones are broken, they're doing CAT scans, sometimes they have robotics that are gonna do the fine stitching. Sometimes they have magnifying glasses because they need to bring the image clearer. But the purpose behind all of that ability to see, is so that they can mend. And if marriage is the journey of two becoming one, I submit to you that the clearer you can see yourself and your spouse, the easier it is for you to knit together. Right? Am I right or am I right? And that is why today's point is, if there is no identity, there is no intimacy. And now you are like, so we get it. We understand that we need identity. We need to know our identity. We need to be secure in our identity. And that this idea of identity partners and creates and fosters an atmosphere of intimacy. And you're like, we get all of that. What does that have to do with your course? Well, I am so glad you asked. Our course, one of the pillars of our course, let's call it that, is the journey to identity. And so as a part of our course, we offer you some discount for some people, but we offer you tools that aren't available anywhere else. So my company, the same company, Legacy Builders, you can go our website, check it out, and take advantage of the free gift. At the company, we offer this service called a Hebrew Greek name analysis. And you're like, what, sis? What? That's a whole bunch of languages. I know. Those languages, Hebrew Greek name analysis, it matters because I believe your words matter. And because I am a Bible believing Christian, I believe the language your words are spoken in matters. And the Bible is written in Hebrew and Greek. So in that name analysis, we take what your name means. We look it up in the language of the Bible or the language of the Holy That I'm coining that right here, right now, the languages of the holy. And we analyze it, and we believe hidden in your name are clues to not just your identity, but your purpose. And so we create a document that will help you find that. Now, we don't, in the course, we will give you tips and pointers on how to do that in yourself. Because let's say, like, I don't have whatever the cost of my HNA, it's $150. So let's say you don't have the $150 and you're like, I can do that myself. Okay, do it yourself. Like, I am not against anybody doing it themselves. I just know that I am particularly gifted in that area. And I believe God honors my, not just my gifting, but my heart to show his people how intentional he was about them. So if you are, saying, okay, then I'll get your service, then I would be happy to. But if you think you can do it yourself, we give you tips and tricks on how to do that. And then also we help you evaluate those things. Like, what does it mean? So my name in particular, and I'm not using anyone else, I'm using myself. My name is Lenore. So I'll tell you another story about myself. And if you've known me a long time, you've known this story before, that while my given name is Leonore, Leanore, my husband at this point calls it an alias, which is called Pasha, Pasha. The truth is, I thought that was my name up until I was about 5 years old when I went to kindergarten, and they started calling me this other name. And I was like, who's that lady? I'm 5, and everyone in my family calls me Pasha, to the point where, like, when I got married, and so talk about journey of identity. When I got married, I told my husband, yes, my name is Lenore, but if we're going to be together, family members and people close to me call me Pasha. So my husband now calls me Pasha, even though I am absolutely secure in knowing that my name is Lenore. And why am I telling you this? Because Lenore means light. And that's why when I talk about what I do at Legacy Builders, I say I'm a clarity consultant. I'm not just a legacy builder. I am a clarity consultant, because it is in my very nature to shine light on things, or to allow space and create space for the light of God to be present. Because, to be clear, I am not confused that I am the source of the light. No, I am not the source of the light, but I am definitely a carrier of it. The light is in me and on me. And so I just absolutely believe that in your name, there are clues like that will help you figure out who you are and what you were meant to do. And when you find those places, then in yourself and in your spouse, imagine going on the journey and finding that out in along with somebody else. Think about how connected you feel soul to soul, where you made a earth-shattering, life-changing discovery. You had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with someone. Those are the things that build and foster and create intimacy. And so in our class, we want to take you on a journey of identity. We want to ask the hard questions. We want to push you to examine yourself. And it does not matter where you are in your journey. So if you are single, hear me. If you are single, now is the right time for you to do this. One of the things, and I said this in my last live, and I'll say it again, I do not believe in the idea of marriage where one is completing the other. I believe if two, honestly, and I'm good, y'all can fight me with this, and I won't say what I wanted to say, but I'll leave it as y'all can fight me with this. But I believe that if two broken, incomplete people were to marry, it wouldn't work, because key pieces will always be missing. I believe instead that a successful marriage is one where two whole people, you are fully you, whole, healed, and he is fully him, whole, healed, and two complete people complement each other, i.e., your purpose partners. So you have this thing that you were created to do. He has this unique thing that he is created to do. And together you come together and you realize your thing complements his thing. And then you come together and you find that those complementary things, they create what? Another new thing that you can do together. Because remember, I started this with the idea that God is always looking and willing to do something new. God is creator. And when he partnered us with him to create, that's what he was doing. So I'm gonna say it the way it came to me. And y'all can be mad if you want, but I don't believe the only thing you're meant to create in your marriage is children. And I'll even take it a step further, that if the only thing your marriage has created is children, I believe that, not that they aren't wonderful, not that they aren't, but I believe there is so much more. And so I just want to say that, like, publicly, like, children is not the only thing your marriage was meant to create. That was not the only thing you were called to birth. Like, that is not the limit of your or your God's creativity. There is more to life, to living, to marriage than children. I'm not saying they're not a blessing. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have them. I'm not saying that for the people who feel the longing in their hearts to be mother or to be father, I'm not saying any of those things. But what I am saying is there is more than you can have. I want to challenge you to not limit yourself to what your marriage can and cannot be, and what you and your spouse can and cannot do. I'll say it again. There is more to marriage. Your marriage should and could birth more than just children. Y'all heard me over there on Instagram? I said it. I did, and I meant it. So let's unpack this idea then, that your marriage should birth more than children. What I think about, like, my marriage, because that's the only one I have right now, and I don't plan to ever have another. My marriage has birthed children, yes, so I'm one of the lucky ones. But my marriage has birthed a business. Truthfully, my marriage has birthed other marriages, because people see us, they know us, they've had conversations with us, they've seen us do this journey, and they're like, if y'all can do it, I can do it. Like, y'all make this thing look. My marriage has birthed other marriages. My marriage has birthed businesses, multiple businesses, and not just my own. And now that business that it has birthed is birthing a class. And it's not the only class, it's the first class. It has birthed books, plural, because y'all just know about the first one, this one right here. See with the finger? Y'all just know about that one. But there are other books. I am still writing other books. So my marriage has reproduced prolifically. And again, I'm saying it did all of that because we took the journey individually to get to know ourselves. And in knowing ourselves, we were able to then create this level of intimacy that allowed us to walk together in purpose. And as we walk in purpose, we have done all of these things. And so let's touch on the idea then that I want to say that identity is an individual pursuit. And you can look, I ain't got no more. Fight me if you want to. I ain't fighting nobody. I don't have it. But identity is an individual pursuit. Like, I do not I believe other people can give you hints and clues, but your identity is something that is sacred between you and your Savior, you and God. Like, yes, and your identity should not be founded on roles that you have. I think that's the best way to say it, or the hats that you wear. So my identity is not founded on the fact that I am wife to my husband or mother to my children, or that I am an entrepreneur. Like, those things, those are the roles, the hats, the things that I carry, but those things are not my identity. My identity is that I am a daughter of light. Hence, and we just had this talk of immeasurable value to the Father of lights. That's my identity. And that this light he has given that I need to do certain things with. But that's an individual pursuit. But the beauty of it is that as you pursue God and your spouse pursue God, we talk about the triangle. You guys got the triangle. So you're pursuing God, your spouse is pursuing God. And so the closer you each get to your identity and to God, the closer you get to each other. And then this thing here becomes your purpose. So on one side, we have identity. On the other side, we have intimacy. And then purpose becomes the foundation on which you build your house. I do not have much more to tell you about this topic. I think I have said a mouthful, and I think I have said enough. But I want to encourage two sets of people. First set of people is the person who is married, and you think you know yourself, but there's some uncertainty. The challenge for you is to go back to your Father, and not just your earthly father, but go to your heavenly Father and ask again. Have a conversation with him about who you are and what you've been created to do. Okay? That's the first challenge. Then the second challenge for the person, for the next group of people, is for the people who you think that you are certain, your identity is certain. Like, I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. However, intimacy is lacking in my marriage. I'm going to challenge you to, and hear me, show yourself to your spouse. Because intimacy is about them seeing. And I'm not talking about you're in a marriage and, there are inhibitors to intimacy, as in there is trust, or there is honestly abuse, or you don't feel like this is the person God have. Like, I'm not talking about like there. I'm talking you and your spouse are together. You guys are moving. You believe towards something, but the intimacy somehow feels lacking, and you clearly know who you are. I want you to find out if your spouse feels as clear about their identity as you do. And if you are both clear in your identity, then I want you to show yourself to each other. Then the third and final group of people I'm talking about is that it's just you. You don't have a spouse, and you're like, God, but you feel like you're ready for one, so you're interested in marriage. Or even if you're not interested in marriage, you're definitely interested in walking in purpose. I want you to know that you are perfectly positioned to do a couple of things. One is to go on the journey of identity. So if you feel like you don't know who you are and you are by yourself, honey, take this challenge, this invitation, this whatever, get to know you. Then if you feel like you absolutely know who you are, then figure out what your purpose is and then walk in that. And I believe you along the way, you will find joy. Last but certainly not least, let's say you are walking in purpose, you know who you are, and you're like, I am ready to be married. Then next week is for you. Next week, I'm going to talk about this idea of planning your happily ever after before it starts. And you're like, what? And I'm like, yes. Plan your happily ever after before it starts. And I'll leave you with one last story about my husband and myself. And I've shared this before, that when we were getting married, and this is before we got married, but in those conversations, we didn't realize that we were planning our happily ever after. But what we went into marriage with was a list of things that we didn't want to see. So one of the things was we were never going to get divorced. That's forever and ever, and they lived happily ever after. That's forever and ever. We were never going to get divorced. And then we knew that if we weren't going to get divorced, we also said that we weren't going to be miserable or unhappy. Right? And then we had, like for myself, one of my personal goals was never to be a nagging wife. Like literally at 20, I met my husband when I was 22. At 22, I had already decided then that I was never going to be a nagging wife. And I told him it's about 3 times. I'm going to say something to you about 3 times. And after that, I'm not talking to you about it. I may or may not do it myself, but I'm not talking to you. And that's just my personality, where I just, even with my kids, they know you got about 3 times before mommy's done. So I had purposed in my heart that I knew what I didn't want to be. And so in those moments, we were planning our happily ever after. And so the challenge is, if you are single or if you are married, and this is our last challenge, and join me next week to get more details on this one, you should be planning your happily ever after before it starts. And if it's already in progress, it's not too late to start. So thank you so much for your time, for lending me your ear today. Join me again on Friday at noon for another edition of Midday Manna. However, if you have been with me before, you will know that Friday is our prayer time. I absolutely believe in the power of prayer and in the God we serve. And I absolutely believe that sometimes we spend too much time talking to people who cannot do anything about our problems, which is why I pray on Friday. Because I absolutely believe that if we spend time talking to God, who is the ultimate problem solver, the ultimate resource, the ultimate everything and anything, in the fact, think about it. When Moses said, who do I say sent me? He said, I am, as in whatever you need, I got. So I believe that on Fridays, after I have given you this midday manna, after you have talked, after you have fought, after you have done all that you can, let us go before I am and take hold of him. So please join me on Friday for prayer. I will put up my graphic, my regular weekly graphic, where you can insert your prayer requests in advance, or you can join me on the live broadcast and put them in there live. I am continuing to pray for you. I am continuing to just gonna continue to give these mannas. I am asking you to please share this broadcast. Like this broadcast. It's available on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. If you have not already, subscribe to me on YouTube. If you are on Facebook, like and share this broadcast. If you are on Instagram, watch it, share it, tag somebody, tell them that this was a wonderful broadcast. If you have not already, go to this website, www.legacybuilderswithaz.com, and take advantage of your free gift. Join my mailing list, because you will be the first to know and the first to be able to take advantage of the class, Legacy Builders in Marriage. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful afternoon, and may your ladder be greater than the rest. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.